Welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto Will is your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. Hey, what is this on my shirt today? Guys, you know what? There is something on my shirt, and I don't know what it is. It just happened. But anyhow, I don't think those two spots will matter too much, will you? Will you hold me accountable? Anyhow, folks, we have a great show for you today. Unfortunately, it turns out that the more we speak, the more things stay the same. The more we talk, the more things stay the same. What a week. What exactly is happening in America? Please tell me. What do you think is happening in America? People don't want you to say what's going on. People want you to say, oh, it's all in your imagination. It's not real. People of color don't have to pay a bigger price in front of cops. It's all in your minds, it's all in your minds. But is it? Anyhow, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome aboard, folks. Welcome aboard. Michael Rudden, welcome aboard. White Lives Matter. Rallies flop as hardly anyone shows up. Should we have a laugh? I didn't hear about that one, about white lives. It is pathetic. It is pathetic. The first thing that I'm going to show is from Jake Tapper. And Jake Tapper is going to put that to silence. He's going to put all of that crap to rest. Jake Tapper did a great piece today, and I want you guys to listen to it before we get into the police officer stuff. Officer who pepper sprayed a black army medic is fired. Takes a scandal, gaining national outrage to get this result. I know this stuff happened in December. They had to have seen it in December. But no, who cares? Just another black man abuse. When a lieutenant in the military, somebody serving us, somebody protecting his country. But when they said, I'm a lieutenant, is this the way you treat a person who's serving our country? Nope. Pepper spray. Get out of the car. I'm scared to get out. I drive down where there's light. I am scared to get out because you people kill us. Oh, well, yeah, you need to be scared when you get out. The officer actually tells him that. You ought to be scared. Another one from Michael Rudden. Police fatalist shoot Dante Wright in suburban Minneapolis, sparking protests. If good cops don't turn in bad cops after they do their dirt, can you say there's any good cops at all? How many times have you heard me say that, Mr. Rudden? No. You cannot have good cops if they see bad cops do bad things and allow that to continue. By extension, they are bad. That is why I want to have no interface with police officers at all. At all. Because I have no idea which one is a good one or which one is a bad one or which one had a bad day. And when they have a bad day, they take it out on those who they know they can take it out against without consequences. And that's generally people who look like me. I'm sorry. New York City Antifa, Brooklyn, New York, to Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Black Lives Matter. Hear you, buddy. AVQ, Carl Foster, shall I leave? Why would you need to leave, Mr. Foster? No, everybody's welcome at Politics Done Right. Absolutely everybody. Jessica Taylor, welcome aboard. Bridge MCP. Hey, what day? Watching Floyd trial, my lord. I know. I've been watching it myself. Nanette Bird Smith says, howdy. Olivia McLean says, if you are ready to invest into Bitcoin, we're not doing that here. Julie Van Asdel, hey all, just coming over from watching Randy Rhodes. Love Randy, haven't seen her in a while though. It's getting more and more difficult to give each of my favorite independent media personalities equal time. You just have to share us. You watch one of us sometimes, another one the other time. We love the idea of you sharing all of us because we want all of us to be out there. We are all needed, all of us. I mean, we need Rose. We need Benjamin Dixon. We need everybody in independent media. Totalmente. All lives matter. Okay, Jessica Taylor, George Floyd's brother testified today. I saw that. Brian Sams, police must emphasize people are afraid of them. They must stop drawing guns and screaming commands. You know, that's what they learned, though. They learned that you create maximum chaos because the person who created the police methodology evidently was not a human being with with character and feeling. Little does he know, even the crookiest crook, if you're somewhat nice with that person, they respond to niceness. That's just a human nature. Jessica Taylor, Bridget, me too. Bridge MCP, they said he was going to taser and shot by mistake. Nope. I'll talk about that a little later. Where has our humanity gone so perplexing? That was Nanette Bird-Smith. Julie Van Astel says, Egberto Willies, when is this insanity going to stop? I was all upset night watching Georgia Fort report live on the Dante Wright shooting and the chaos that ensued. I hear you. We're going to hang with it, Julie. We're going to hang with it. We're going to hang with it. The duck that quacks. I could never be a juror on that trial. My mind is made up already. Guilty took less than 9 minutes for me. I wrote a little piece on, not a piece, just a little statement on Twitter. I said, the only thing you have to ask, there's only one question one has to ask. If George Floyd had not encountered that police officer, would he had been alive? If the answer is yes, the guy is guilty. Egberto, can you see? Let's see. What is that you're showing me from PBS? Let's see what that is. Repeat after me. I thought he had a gun. He reached for his waistband. I feared for my life. These three phrases will ensure that you can kill anyone you want and no jury will convict. Exactly right. Thank you for showing that. Let me go ahead and show our audience what you found out there, Rudnan, because I think it's worth seeing. This is what Rudnan just, why is this misbehaving? Let's see. All right, let's see if that fixes it. There's something about my mouse that's not working too right now. Huh. There's something not working here. Let's see if I can get it fixed. Okay, let's go ahead and play that piece. I want. Oh, you know something? I lost the layer, and I don't know where it's at. I lost the layer. I lost layer 5. But anyhow, we'll see how we get by with the program. Anyway, Rudnan, let's see if I can do it. But it looks like I lost a layer here that I'm going to have a problem with later on today. Let's see if I can get it back. There's something that went down with our software here, and I'm going to try to see if I can fix it. Okay, it looks like I got it back. Okay, I got it back. Okay, I want you to see what Rudnan had to say. Here's what Rudnan showed us there. Let's see if it comes on the screen. Rudnan showed us that piece. Check that out. I think it's worth looking at. Para ver. Okay, there you go. Anyhow, folks, anyhow, let's go ahead and get a little bit more busy. I want to show you the first video. And then I'm going to continue going with the questions that you guys asked there. But let's go ahead and listen to Jake Tapper. Every so often, a real journalist gets it just right, uses just the right words, uses just the right tone, uses just the right intonation to provide a narrative that not only those who agree with you will follow, but even those who disagree with you would see the honesty within what he's saying and just may change a few minds. I want you to listen to this, and then let's take it on the other side. It's a must-see.
At around 4:30 in the morning, 160 years ago tomorrow, a treasonous South Carolina militia attacked the U.S. government at Fort Sumter near Charleston, South Carolina, and the U.S. Civil War began. To this day, the deadliest war in American history. 4 years of bloody battle and unfathomable viciousness, ending only when General Robert E. Lee surrendered at Appomattox. So the conflict would not formally end for another 16 months. In some parts of the country, and in the hearts and minds of too many of our fellow Americans. The war continued to rage, a war that was fought over whether or not states had the right to own black Americans, to enslave them, to rape them, to maim them, and to kill them. Monument in the names of treasonous generals who led this war continue to mar this nation. Military bases are named after them. Most of them, by the way, not named for them in the 1860s or 1870s in the immediate aftermath of the smoke clearing from the battlefields of Shiloh or Bull Run, but named in the 20th century during World Wars I and II as a way to get local buy-in as the federal government grabbed swaths of land to build these bases. They weren't even necessarily good generals. General Braxton Bragg was relieved of command after losing the battles for Chattanooga. And yet there are our special forces headquartered at the North Carolina base, still named after this bumbling, treasonous fool who took up arms against his own government. I doubt you can find another country on this earth that has so many monuments and tributes to its own traitor. And that's because the hatreds and resentments of that era are still simmering today, still a force. Now, people aren't calling for a return to slavery, but they push the same twisted, un-American ideas that all men are not created equal. You see these people marching in Charlottesville, talking about how Jews will not replace them, and then you hear folks defending them and defending the ones who marched alongside them. You hear these people talking about ways to only support the quote-unquote right legal voter being able to cast their ballots, the so-called informed one. Their twisted conspiracy theories about how immigrants are being brought here, some believe by a cabal of nefarious Jews, to replace the white working man and women. Those theories, those twisted ideas shared by politicians and members of the media on our airwaves and social media, those ideas motivating the murderers in Pittsburgh and El Paso. They demonstrate the false, favoring authoritarianism, favoring repression, steeped in both racism and a deep personal sense of grievance. When the treasonous South Carolina militia led by PGT Beauregard attacked Fort Sumter 160 years ago tomorrow morning, they began the Civil War. 34 hours later, 160 years ago this Tuesday, U.S. Major Robert Anderson and 86 U.S. government soldiers surrendered. The bad guys won that battle, and the traitors of what would eventually become the Confederate Army occupied Fort Sumter for almost 4 years. And though their discredited, twisted ideas are often shaded and diluted and camouflaged, they continue to occupy too many parts of our politics and our culture and our news media.
That is so true. Now, it is sad because from the beginning of this country, most Americans have been conned. They have been conned into believing they had a birthright they never got, they were never intended to get. And I'm not talking about the slaves or the descendants of the slaves. I'm talking about the majority population. The only thing that keeps them subservient to those who oppress them is by making that distinction between them and those others. And it's that has continued to screw most Americans. If the people that most promote these types of policies, these types of hatreds, these types of ways of thinking, they live in the states that are doing the worst. They live in the states where the poverty is worse. They live in the beggar states. They live in the taker states. They continue to vote for people and pass policies that only enrich a few in their states and make the rest so darn poor. So the reality is there's only one solution. Yes, we have to get that cancer out of the minds of others, but we also have to lead by example. And one of the good things that I've seen in the new administration is with all the arrows coming in, it is almost like they are fighting like the good old George Fraser. You're getting beaten. They're beating you, but you keep moving forward. You keep moving forward. That is what it's going to take. Because there are some of these people that are so far gone in their beliefs that only reality instantiated at the time they need it is going to make a difference. And that is how we are ultimately going to pull out and win this battle. Jake Tapper, a hell of a piece. It'll touch quite a few, including some that didn't realize all of that. But ultimately, when we all get that better picture, is when we have the problem solved. Okay, so you get Jake Tapper really destroyed the right there. All this fallacy about the Civil War and it was about state rights and all of that. It's just a whole bunch of crap. It was simply about we want to own people. That's all this that was about. And then they had the clowns fighting with them. Those folks who didn't realize that slavery wasn't for all white people. Slavery was for that small amount of white folks who could own property. And the other losers were just considered, oh, you come and help defend us to be able to hold on to these folks, and you can then be, you're better than them. You're poor like them. You don't have a you know what to do what in like them. But guess what? You're not them. So come and fight with us. And that mentality has remained with them. But you know, you guys, those of you who are regulars to Politics Done Right, know I talk about antiseptic slavery, where this pigmentation no longer determines your slavery status. Because most of us now are, in fact, antiseptic slaves. And it's the same thing. We have the corporations telling you how to think, how not to charge them taxes, how not to do things to help them. But I'm going to get there in a minute. The only reason I jumped on the economic portion here while we were talking about the murder of black men by police officers, the only reason I brought that up is that Eric Hayes is in here still complaining. He's sticking with the program. Somebody on the right wing says, oh, it's 2.7 million more people that the jobs plan is going to create, not 19 million like they're announcing. It is somewhere between 2.7 and 19 million, but the particular report that they quoted, it's a total of $19 million, 19 million jobs, but 2.7 million created by the Biden plan. And he wants to call it a lie. Okay, I would say it's a lie if you want to call it a lie. But the thing about it is we are not talking anything like what was happening in the administration before, where everybody stayed quiet or the people on the right stayed quiet. But here I am, Brother Hayes. I am talking about our federal or our government, not our government, police killing black and brown people. And you are singularly focused on something that has no value with respect to our total economy, our total socialization, or anything. Because we're talking about life and death, and you can only think, my brother, on 2.7 versus 19? Sir, I ask you, consider something known as empathy. Consider something known as, when am I going to show a humanity as opposed to what the right wing has been teaching me to be inhumane, to be a person who cares nothing about others if they don't absolutely think like me. And the truth is, I don't even think about those who think like me, because the policies I'm supporting screw us all. So please, Mr. Hayes, my friend, Mr. Hayes, please learn humanity and empathy. Because this isn't a right or left issue. This is a murderous issue by police officers who look at certain citizens as people that it's okay to kill at all costs. You doubt it? Let's take a look at this one right here, and then we'll move on to the next. Whenever you hear about defund the police and all that sort of stuff, people try to get the wrong impression as far as what it means. What it means is that the police force as constituted today is a clear and present danger for many, many American citizens, for mostly, again, people of color or people in disadvantaged areas, etc., etc. This story about this black Army lieutenant who has a new SUV with the temporary plates on, and being chased down by cops, and the cops lying about him being a felony type stop. It's simply amazing. The Daily Coast wrote last December, Army Lieutenant Carolyn Nazario was on his way home with a new SUV when the lights of a police car approached behind him. Rather than pull over on a narrow, darkened street, he went for about 60 seconds to a place where there was light, and thank God he did that. There he was confronted with two police officers, gun drawn, for a stop on a license plate. And then the remainder is it could have been deadly. Here it is.
New tonight. The president of the Isle of Wight branch of the NAACP says they are launching their own investigation into a traffic stop that is now the center of a federal lawsuit. It happened last December in the town of Windsor.
A U.S. Army officer says his Fourth Amendment rights were violated when two town police officers illegally detained him, then pepper sprayed him and threatened to destroy his military career. We want to warn you, some of the video may be hard to watch. As 10 to your side's Brett Hall shows us, it was all caught on the police body camera.
Open the door, get out the car!
The body camera video is telling. Two Windsor police officers get out to conduct a traffic stop last December with guns drawn.
Keep your hands outside the window.
The man they pulled over?
I'm actively serving this country, and this is how you're going to treat me?
U.S. Army Second Lieutenant Karan Nazario.
Whoa, hold on. What's going on?
Ultimately pepper sprayed.
Get on the ground!
Can you please talk to me about what's
Get on
going
the ground!
on?
Get on the ground now!
All for what his attorney says was the officer's suspicion that Nazario was driving without a license plate.
This has got to stop.
Jonathan Arthur says his client is a victim of police brutality. In this case, at the hands of officers Joe Gutierrez and Daniel Crocker. Arthur says his client had temporary tags that were displayed in the rear window of the SUV the entire time. In a federal lawsuit, he argues Nazario's Fourth Amendment rights were violated when he was illegally pulled over, detained, and searched by officers.
They knew they were in the wrong, and then they threatened to destroy a man's career if he called him out on it.
After the encounter calms down, in body camera video, you can hear one of the officers appearing to explain how he's willing to not charge Nazario for obstruction of justice because the Army would find out if they do. But the officers also maintain they originally became aggressive when Nazario didn't immediately pull over or get out of the car when they requested. Arthur says his client just wanted to make sure he pulled over in a well-lit area, while the lawsuit asks for over $1 million in damages. Arthur says the police department needs to learn this is not okay.
After seeing what I've seen on the body cam footage, it's kind of hard to justify having them serving and protecting anything.
And we've reached out to both the town of Windsor and the police chief for comment.
Now, when you take a look at this, right, like I wrote in the top of the piece here, these two police officers should not only be fired, but prosecuted for assault. The police officers are thugs, animals that have no right on a police force. For those who wonder why we talk about defund the police, this is a constant for some of us. This is uncalled for. This is not the people who we look at as, if I am in trouble, they are there to protect me. These are the people we see as being violent towards our own persons. That is not right, and that has to stop. These two guys, they are not police officers or what we expect police officers to be. They are thugs, they are animals, and they're still working for the same police department at this point in time. Now, you see, this is not anything new. We have a case going on now with George Floyd, and now we have this as well. It's a constancy. Even after George Floyd, their animalistic behavior continues. All right, folks, I'm looking at my time and I'm looking at the amount of messages that I want to talk about that you guys are putting out there. So it seems like my 27-minute Danny Fetonte interview, I'm going to have to postpone till tomorrow. It's a good interview about why the unionization at Amazon failed. We'll talk about that tomorrow, so we'll tune in tomorrow for this is a big union guy who's been with us before, but he's going to tell us why it failed at Amazon. But let's go ahead and talk about these particular issues here. Jessica Taylor says, Georgia Ford, another independent media source in Minneapolis. She was out last night, yes, and she got sprayed. Harvey Weinberg, what about the police can't tell the difference between a gun and a taser? All right, let's talk about that. Because let me tell you what got me real upset. I'm not going to play this on here because YouTube doesn't like these types of videos where you actually have actual shooting. But we saw the actual shooting on CNN. They won't mess with the CNN video, of course. But anyhow, check this out. The officer is the guy's look. The guy is not. The guy is evading arrest. There's no doubt about it. But evading arrest is not a capital offense. Evading arrest, not being a danger to somebody else, is not a capital offense or one where it should be chased. The Supreme Court already ruled that police officers can't just chase after and kill folk. Okay? And even if the Supreme Court hadn't ruled that way, that shouldn't be the behavior. But anyhow, so she is calling the police officer, taser, taser, taser. They have a rule. Non-dominant hand is used for tasers, dominant hand for gun. She's using her dominant hand. Taser, 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 takes out her gun and shoots the guy point blank. Just like they did with Philando Castile, who they asked Philando is even worst case. They asked Philando Castile, he has his hands up. Okay, get your license. He takes his hands to get the license. The officer claims he's scared and blow his head off. The first video that I showed you with that lieutenant, the lieutenant kept his hand out. One of the officers is saying, put your hands where we can see them. The other cop is saying, open the door and get out. Haha, right. So I open the door to get out, and you blow me away because you think I'm getting a gun. And if I don't get out, you accuse me of resisting arrest. It's a no-win situation. But then we go ahead and we see the guy who killed 9 people in South Carolina. They took him to get a Burger King. They arrested him. They treated him with kid gloves and took him to get a burger. It's so amazing who ends up dead in these situations, whether they did something wrong or not. Now let's go back to what Harvey had to say about taser. Have you ever watched when these guys have their cameras on and they want to pop a cap into one of these people of color? There's this one in Louisiana where they killed him. They had him pinned down, and the cops keep saying, "Stop resisting, stop resisting." And the guy's just laying there. He says, "I'm not resisting. I am not resisting." But they learn to call these words out for the cameras and the microphone so that they can do what they really want to do, and that is to assassinate these people that they just don't like. They just thought you were you had too much mouth, you didn't stop in time, and who the hell do you think you are to give me lip? Or who do you think you are to give me an attitude? So I'm going to pop a cap in you. And people say, "Oh, Egberto, that's not how that is how it is. We've seen it on camera." And this woman, this is not the first woman. There's one in Oklahoma. The guy has his hands up in Oklahoma, and she comes and she just pop a cap in him. Again. So let's not be fooled. The captain comes out right away. Oh, he wants to set the narrative. They claim they released the tape early because they want transparency. Anybody who knows media knows something more importantly. They released that tape early because that officer said something that was non-incriminating to the officer. Taser, taser, taser. Given the impression that she thought she had the taser. That gives the captain the opportunity to come out with a tape and say, guess what? It was an accidental shooting. She thought she had her taser. That's the only reason they released that tape early. Because they thought they could go ahead and spin the narrative. And unfortunately, when I listened to CNN, MSNBC, and some of the questions the reporters asked, it was evident that to some extent it worked. They believe her when she says, I thought I had the taser. Well, she didn't say I thought. When she said taser, 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 they started to make excuses for her. Oh, she thought she had a taser. No, she is a murdering cop. She is a murdering cop. She didn't like that this guy ran away from her. And she was going to blow a cap in him. And she says, taser, 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 as a self-defense when the tape shows. Taser my butt. Do you feel that a gun, the weight of a gun and the weight of a taser, you know which one you have. She assassinated that guy. No doubt about it. Just like the lieutenant, there was no excuse to stop the lieutenant. The only thing that happened is, here's this guy driving this brand new SUV. We're going to just mess with him because we don't like it. So let's not overthink this thing. Just like we're overthinking the George Floyd. Oh, was he really was it asphyxia or whatever? It's a simple question. If he had not encountered Chauvin, would he be alive? Yes. Therefore, Chauvin is guilty. Chauvin murdered him. Period. End of discussion. Punto y final. It's that simple. We make things complicated to confuse people. But you know, that's what we are famous with in this country. We like to complicate things. You know why? In complication, we can take your dollar. We can take everything away from you. And that's what we do. We make most people think that they're better than this other person, so that we, the 1% on top, can continue to screw you. And you believe it. You buy it. You buy that this is a meritocracy. You buy that if you do all the right things, that you will be successful. Look, let me tell you something. I worked hard as hell as an engineer. And I'll be frank, America needed a lot of engineers, so I was very successful as an engineer. I did very well with my software company. Why? Because the software that I was designing was in fact something that was very much needed, and I was chosen to bring this up. But there's a lot of other software guys, there's a lot of other engineers as well. You know? And they didn't make it. So it's not a meritocracy. Were they as meritorious as I was? Hell yes. Hell yes. All of you that are listening to me right now, there are good things that you know and you didn't make it and you just figure, that's just how it is. As opposed to we fundamentally have a bad system. Fundamentally, we have a system that is horrendous. But it has a beautiful facade on it. You go downtown Houston, downtown Tulsa, downtown New York, downtown LA. Beautiful, nice, great, beautiful building. So we have people saying, capitalism is so great. Look at all those nice freeways. Look at all those nice buildings. Then you ask the next question, but can you go into those buildings? Can you actually use the things that you've actually built? All those people that are working in factories in Chicago, New York, Houston, all these places, they build all these things. They work hard. They're building things they will never be able to afford to use. Because we're all antiseptic slaves. And when I can get into everybody's mind that the way our system is designed is to take from you and give it to a few so that they can take advantage of all the spoils, and you get the crumbs, until you understand that there is in effect a solution to that, coming in my new book, How to Make America Utopia. But we have to first understand the problem. So the vast majority of my new book, How to Make America Utopia, is all about these ills, how these things come about, or how you're lied to. And it has a lot of the essays that I've written for the Daily Coast, Op-Ed News, and a couple that I've done for a couple other rags. But it's important for us to understand these things. They are out there trying to make sure we don't. And you know why? Because if we do, we won't accept it. And by the way, police officers are enforcers. They are enforcers. Even they don't know what they don't know why they're afforded the luxury of being as evil as they are. They don't know why they are afforded that luxury. But they're a part of the system as well. Okay, let me get back to the things. Brian Sam says, police investigating police, doing the same thing over and expecting a different result. Insane. Brian Sams, you're absolutely right. Michael Rodnan, Egberto, I read that already. Julie Van Dassel, Georgia Fort stuck it last night even though she got gassed. Follow her on Facebook. Yes, Georgia Fort. Follow her, guys. Let's see. Deborah John, how the hell is a mistake when the taser, the weapon are kept in different compartments? No matter what those folks on top, I'll always make excuses for their killers. It's design. Deborah John, you're absolutely right on that. Julie Van Dassel says, bookmark, thanks. Let's see. I agree taser was BS, complete BS. Jake, I promise I'm not a communist tapper. I like tapper. Although sometimes I have to get on his case, and you've seen me get on his case before. Bridge MCP says, so where they honor these people. Well, worse than weird, outrageous. Look how Benedict Arnold, we're talking about Jake Tapper's piece. Look how honored Benedict Arnold is not mentioned by name on the boot monument. The monument just thus serves as a form of dramatio memorae. Damnation memoria is a modern Latin phrase meaning condemnation of memory, indicating that the person is to be excluded from official accounts. There are and have been many routes to damnation memoriae, including the destruction of depictions. Thank you for enlightening me with a new phrase that I've never used before. The removal of names from inscriptions and documents. Thanks, I learned something. You see, I have the smartest audience. I just learned that, how do you say it? Damnatio memoriae or memorie. I don't know. You'll tell me sometime. Another school shooting, when will it stop? When was there another school shooting today? I didn't hear about that one. I did hear one mention of any communists. Let's see. Robert Lewis, mi hermano. That video is so strong and it's still happening. It's just bring you closer to America of waking up what's going on. Absolutely so. Bridge MCP, damnatio memoriae is a modern Latin phrase meaning condemnation of memory. Thank you for that. It's for instructing me, for teaching me, for that's why we learn. We all learn together, folks. We all learn together. Nanette Birdsmith, just now. Oh, really? I didn't hear that. Let's see. The duck that quacks. What did JT state that was? He didn't say anything communist. You know, every time a person on the right, and I think Brother Carl is on the right, and Carl, you know we still love you, but you know that's not right. Brian Sams, education has the most to do with red or blue. See map with most educated with who voted for. But you know, I don't like to do that. I don't like to do that. And let me tell you what I mean, Brian Sams. I think we have leaders, and we pick leaders so that we have an easy person or persons or institutions to follow. And why do we have that? Because if we all had to know everything, we would get nothing done, right? So it's important for us to have trusted leaders. Because let me give an example. Let's just look at my audience right here. I have Michael Rodnan. Rodnan goes out and he does a lot of research. He comes back with a whole lot of links and all that kind of stuff. If he says Egberto, guess what? Bam, bam, bam. I won't necessarily go look up what he says. But if somebody else in the room that I know have not earned the respect and comes back with volatile or crazy information, and there are a couple in the room right now, and comes with something, I go ahead and I research the hell out of what they have to say. When Bridge MCP puts something down, I know that is my trusted source, right? So when you have, and what I try to talk about, folks on the right now, my friends on the right, is I've always said what I have to do. My job is if I have their eyeballs, if I have their ears, if they're reading my stuff, my goal then is to earn their respect so that they will start seeing me, not necessarily as a source that they just gonna say I'm gonna turn into some progressive liberal or some progressive or some democratic socialist, that they're gonna say, well, if it comes from Egberto, it makes sense. And at least I can talk about it. And that is how we start with communication. So that is what I mean with leaders, Brian. So when it comes down to education, the education in Texas and all these places, these leaders are anti-education. That's why the first thing they cut is the education budget. They don't want a smart Texas. They don't want a smart Kansas. They don't want these places smart because they understand that they just want a few in those states to have all the land, all the mineral rights, all of that, and the rest are just peons. And if they stay dumb, they wouldn't understand that the person who's taking their birthright is not the other, those immigrants, those people of color. It is their own who have from the inception of this country taken it all from them and given them a plausible explanation that they should not have believed as to why they're in dire straits. Okay, the duck that quacks, welcome aboard. The person attached a label to the guy. He said nothing coming. Yes. Republicans are, Michael Rudnick says, Republicans are for state rights until those states do things that go against their narrative. Marijuana legislation, unionization, taxing of the rich. And just look at Texas. When they like states' rights and local rights, right? And as soon as Lina Hidalgo, who is the youngest head of a county here, as soon as she decides to do the right thing to save her county, they pass a law to disregard what she wants to do. Amazing. Julie Van Osdell, the school shooting is near Knoxville, Tennessee. Wow. Have to find, it's not on CNN yet or MSNBC yet. The duck that quacks, he addresses none of the issues brought forward. Let's see. Eric Hayes is still on that number. It's wrong. Admit it. I said it's not, we don't know, first of all, but it's not 2.7 million. And I said, I think you sent me a message by Facebook, and I said it was an idiotic thing for them to conflate the total number with the delta number. I said that. And I said some middle person probably did something trying to be cute to make things look even rosier than the rose that they are. Multiple victims reported in shooting at Tennessee. Wow. Thank you for putting that link up, Bridge MCP. Let's see. Thanks, Nanette Bird Smith. Let's see. Police 1,000 plus every year. It's a disproportionate rate not seen anywhere else in any major nation. We are the only nation that have killer cops like we do. Only one. Only nation on the planet. We have killer cops. That's what we have. Carl thinks American history is communist because that's what Tapper gave. Erica, let's see. Eric, can you see? Let's see. Prison policy. Okay, I'll look at that. Eric Hayes says it is different topic and what has occurred is wrong. Yes, I agree. And don't jump on me and judge me. So keep that crap to yourself. I don't judge. I just tell the truth. And the truth is, if we are talking about a topic like where we are seeing your fellow Americans of a different hue getting murdered by cop, and that's pretty much what we're talking about, and you are going to harp. You're going to harp on, is it 2.7 million or is it 19 million? It's 2.7 million or is it 19 million? We're talking about life or death. And you're going to be talking about that it makes no sense. I'm sorry. The duck that quacks, put me down as 100% in favor of deleting the names from work. They should have been gone a long time ago. Those people were insurrectionists. They were traitors. No base should be named in the name of a traitor. No street. All the Robert E. Lee streets should be gone. Now, look, I'm not going to spend my time on that, okay? I won't spend my time on wanting Robert E. Lee to be gone and all these guys to be gone, because if I did that, there's a whole lot more gone that I would want. So I just let it be. But when it's a traitor as much as, let's say, Bragg, come on now, let's be real. When you fire on Fort Sumter to start the Civil War, how do you honor a traitor like that? Eric Hayes says, whoa, you need to chill and take a piece of your advice you preach as I don't appreciate it. Eric, love you, brother, but I really don't care if you appreciate the truth or not. I will only tell the truth. Take it or leave it. Stick around, because that is what makes us, that is what opens our eyes, the truth. May Wood, hello from Long Beach, California. Way May, how you doing, young lady? 2 more ex-cops coming. All right, Michael Rudnick, Egberto agreed that police officers who use excessive force should be fired and then charged with felonies. Yep, and then they should be put in jail with somebody that they shot. That would be great because it would be interesting to see how that works out. Nanette Bird Smith, many of our police forces are full of power-hungry authoritarian officers. I believe that. You watch how they act, and that's definitely so. Got to make cops personally liable for any actions or behavior outside police protocol. No taxpayer-funded defense violate. I think a state just did that. I think it's Maryland that did something like that. The Republican governor vetoed it, but they did it. Muchas gracias for that state that did it. All right, Bridge MCP says, get a qualified immunity. Yes, agreed. The duck that quacks says both the officers failed miserably. De-escalation with military guy. I mean, it's funny. You should have seen the uniform, and I immediately said, wow, he's serving our country, sir. I'm sorry, but I think you did XYZ. Lawrence Sims says the two weapons have different handles and on different positions of the body. Exactly, Lawrence. Absolutely right. Roberto Lewis says, very good of explaining. Egberto, you're so right on key of using your scenarios of. Thank you, my brother. Bridge MCP, wild body cam video nutcase threatens to shoot cop. White suspect flees scene. Arrest later. That's common. Very common. Michael Ron and Egberto, the racial bias for police shooting is nearly 3-1. Tell me about it, brother. Tell me about it. Lawrence Sims, I think we had a weapon on his leg, and don't forget the shooter in Colorado had an alleged gunshot wound to his leg, but no bruises on his head after killing several people, including a cop. Exactly. Julie Van Astel contrasts what happened last night to the white man who, with gun visible, threatened to shoot the cop and is then able to safely close the door and drive away. He was arrested It's common. Yes, yes. Thank God for body video camera, or there will be more dead bodies with no proof. Yes. The cameras are holding the cops back a bit. Absolutely so. Julie Van Astel, let's see what else is here. Even with body cam, police still get away. Yeah, because, again, we have a population that are so misinformed that they're easily convinced of doing things. Well, anyway, we'll take that another time. Unfortunately, the cop can choose to mute the stop picture. And I think what we need to do is, what cops should get is, if your camera and mic are off and it's not a technical defect, it will be assumed that you are wrong. You want to solve the problem? Tell them that. It will be assumed that you are wrong. The prone position they put Floyd in has now come to light because the police said that they thought he was intoxicated. The prone position should not be used. Of course not. Jessica Taylor, if a dog who ate chocolate and Chauvin murdered the dog, no question Chauvin would be harshly convicted. Never would chocolate in the dog system be blamed. Love you, Jessica. I so love you for that comparison. That analogy, Jessica, perfecto. You got the statement of the day, Jessica. Julie Van Astel. Yes, that's one, but there's so many more examples out there. It's unbearable, Jessica Taylor, but a black NFL player will serve time. Let me also give you the interesting thing, right? Let's see what happened to this woman who accidentally shot this guy. Because remember, right there in Minnesota, this black cop with his white officer next to him, a white woman comes up to the window. I guess it scared him, startled him, or whatever. He shot the woman through the window. Guess where that black cop is right now? In jail. No questions asked. And we are having a big thing about Chauvin, who didn't act on reflex, who stayed methodically on this guy's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. And it's an issue. That black cop, and you know what is so funny? I know a lot of black cops. In fact, my cousin was a black cop, but he's a bit different. Black Latino, of course. And what's interesting is that a lot of black cops, they adopt the same culture. It's a cop culture, right? And when I say the cop culture, I mean a cop culture that kills black people, that kills brown people. And the same reverence they have when they're dealing with white criminals as opposed to black criminals is the same reverence black cops give as well. In other words, they treat black folk in the hood much worse or just as bad as the white cops do. What they've never realized is that when they commit a crime, they accidentally kill a white person, they go to jail. Unlike their white counterpart. So the dynamics in America is just amazing. The Duck That Quack says today's cops are much far up the chain from Pinkertons. Aren't much further. The Duck That Quack says aren't. Let's see what else is here. Lee Grant, hi all. How you doing, Lee? Good evening, folks. Hello, Mark Smith. Let's see. Eric Hayes. Wow, sounds elite. I don't know what you're talking about, Eric. Nope, you judged. Let's see. Continuing. Julie Van Astel says, Mark, let's keep going. Lee Grant, if you want some data analysis, blacks and cops, you might read Heather McDonald's The War on Cops. Why would I read a lie? Please tell me that. Why would I read a lie? Why would I need the interpretation that shows that we see with our own eyes? I don't need somebody to interpret to me what the statistics already say. I don't need them to reinterpret the statistics for me. I've got a bachelor's of science in mechanical engineering, much more difficult than many of these analysis these statisticians are doing. I've gone through the numbers, sir. So please, Brother Lee Grant, I've done it. The fact of the matter, there are two factors here. BS in, BS out. Meaning the FBI data, first of all, is not correct. In Kingwood, my white brothers and sisters in Kingwood, when they commit crimes, a lot of times they're let off. In the hood, they go straight to jail. It's exactly what you saw with Mr. Floyd. A $20 bill, and the cop goes out there, and it's a critical case. They're going to arrest him. If it were somebody else, they'll give him a ticket, show up in court. But because of who this body is, he will have a record. So the FBI would see George Floyd as a record, as a nick in their stuff, showing there is another person of color with a record. If it was somebody else that never got entry into the system, that number is never recorded. So not even the FBI numbers are accurate. They're skewed because of the entry point to the FBI numbers. And that is what's so, it's not hard for you to understand that. If you have racism at the point of entry, then the values will reflect that as well. It's that simple. Nanette Bird Smith, let's see. May Wood, more like old money. All right, let's see. This book that can save lives, Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell is Thomas Sowell. Anybody who let me just put this in context for you guys. Thomas Sowell is one of the black supposedly intellectuals that right-wing white supremacists love to use, and he allowed himself to be used, and it's been very profitable for him. But Thomas Sowell is nothing more than a hack, and he's a dangerous hack, just like what's her name, Candace Owens. They are both hacks, nothing more. They are people with melanin used by white supremacists to hold people who look like them down, and they get honorary status. But I'd like to drop them both in Vidor, Texas, and see how they do out there. That would be great, wouldn't it? Let's see. Bridge MCP says, Mike, New York ended qualified immunity. Great. Let's see. Let me continue there. Michael Rudden said, if a police officer turns off their body camera during an interaction without a malfunction, they should get a warning on the first time and fire the second. I agree with you 100%. The policy would require that all body camera footage be made publicly available. I agree with that as well. Jessica Taylor, you go, girl. Michael Rudden out on Long Island. Suffolk County still does not wear body cams. Big thing out there. Nanette Bird Smith. Okay, let's see who else is here that I need to talk about. Numbers on mass shooting only go back to 2013. Before then, police didn't keep records on how many people they shot. The police seem to be out of control in America. Unbelievable what they get away with. Yeah, they're criminals. They're thugs. They're animals. They got the rights to be animals. We have, and by extension, even the ones that call themselves good, we can't give them a pass, because if they know of all the bad officers, and trust me, they know the bad officers, and they let them go, they're bad as well. You know, I forgot to do my ass, so I'm going to do it right now real quick. Folks, please, 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 please remember, please support the show. If you are on YouTube right now, I'm at the end, I was supposed to do it at the half hour, guys. Nobody reminded me. You forgot to remind me. Lee Grant says Thomas Sowell is an American economist, social theorist, and senior fellow at Stanford University, and a Uncle Tom and a hack. That's what he is. I am sorry. That's what he is. Okay, let's go ahead and continue. Folks, if you are with us, please go ahead and support us. Click that join button. Become a part of our PDR Posse. We love everybody. We bring everybody into the fold, and that's what we're all about. Left, right, in the middle, I don't care who you are. We want to talk. We want to discuss. We want to discourse. We want to argue, but we want to do what is right. Also, folks, please go ahead and click that join button. If you don't have a join button on YouTube or you're somewhere else, just click the politicsandright.com/YouTube, politicsandright.com/YouTube to become a part of our PDR Posse. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, we also have a cup that you can go ahead and purchase. And how do you get that cup? It was designed by Bridge MCP, one of our leaders in the PDR Posse. There is a link for you to go ahead and get that cup or cup, a lot of other stuff that you have, man. You can actually get our t-shirts or hoodies or face masks, all that good stuff at our store. politicsandright.com/store is where you can go. But anyhow, folks, please support us at Patreon if you have the wherewithal. We need a lot of Patreon supporters. We're way behind. politicsandright.com/Patreon. Patreon is spelled Patreon. Patreon. Or you can support us at PayPal as well. How do you do that? Go to politicsandright.com/PayPal. politicsandright.com/PayPal. We really need your support to continue doing all of this. We're going to have the Danny Fetonte. Thank you so kindly, Squito, for your super chat. Squito just sent us a $10 super chat. Love you. Appreciate you. You know, very much so. Anyhow, I appreciate that, Squito. Look, folks, we need your support. Please go ahead and, again, you can go to politicsandright.com/PayPal. Did I put that one in there already? politicsandright.com/PayPal. Yes, I did. Alternatively, you can get all our books at the store, and I will sign the book if you get it at the store. And I'll also put one of these in there. Our bumper sticker that says Politics Done Right and have the address. You can get any one of our books there. This is the last one I wrote called It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. You can also get our As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. And for those of you who knew I had weight problems, we can get my Lose Weight and Be Fit Now. Why did I write that book being a political guy? Because you know what, so a lot of us that are activists, right? We let ourselves go. We're so deep into this. Like I work 16 hours a day, right? You're so deep into this, sometimes you forget. I finally made a pact. I work out hard. It was 5 times a week. I work out hard 4 times a week now on the spinner. I do 1 hour solid hard workout 4 times a week because we don't do that. And I explain a whole lot of stuff as far as how we do things around here. So check out the book. So go ahead and if you want to go ahead and get the book, let me give you a link to how to go ahead and get that. Let me get that link on the screen right now. Just click on that Amazon link that you see there, and you can get It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. But anyhow, folks, this is the end of the show. Thank you so kindly for being a part of Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.